Hi there, Lloyd Machedo. Speaking to you from LloydMachedo.com. Who is Lloyd Machedo and Think Personal Branding? The date is 28th July 2018. Time right now is 2:40 in the afternoon. I thought I'd give you my thoughts today with regards to sex during pregnancy and after pregnancy. And this is more like I'm sharing my thoughts with you, my experiences. So there is nothing like this is the standard by which sex should take place during pregnancy and after pregnancy. I'm just sharing with you my perspective, and the reason why I'm sharing these thoughts with you is because I think not many people speak about this, not many people talk about it. This is like a subject that married people go through. So if you want to watch this video and understand my thoughts, go ahead. But if you feel this is, what are you talking about sex? These are very private things, then I suggest you don't watch this video. And like I said, as usual, you can always put your comments or you can send me an email if there is anything. So, and yes, a very important disclaimer, I am not positioning myself as a doctor, as a intellect, as a scientist. Neither am I portraying myself as a person who is very fair, who is amazing, who is God's gift to womankind. So there may be things that I would be saying which would obviously piss a few feminists or a few women, and yes, a few religious people and some men. So be prepared for that. So having said that, let me share with you my experience of sex during pregnancy and now post-pregnancy. Now, the one thing that me and my wife did, or rather I initiated with my wife, was the fact that I drew out the, it's more like in coaching, they call designing the alliance or designing the relationship, whereby you put forward all the plus points, the minus points, the do's, the don'ts, the likes, the dislikes, all the rules and regulations of the relationship. And you kind of evaluate how the person feels, what the person would say. So initially, when I got into the relationship, I spoke to my then to-be wife. She was not married to me, and I told her, these are my rules in terms of the relationship. And me being 41, she being 25, I was almost like twice as elder to her. So I laid out bare the rules. And what were some of the rules that I laid out in the relationship? I told her that work was very important to me. My work was first priority. Not her, not the relationship, not even the baby, nothing. First was work, first was my brand. So that was most important. The second most important thing was myself, because the logical reason being is work feeds the family. And that's how I can take care of her, because she was a housewife. And second one, the second most important thing was me. Me being, the reason being is, if I don't take care of my physical health, I don't take care of my mental health, I don't take care of my emotional being, I'll not be in a position to be there for her, provide for her, or take care of her. And she agreed. Okay. Now, for the Western women, they don't buy or believe all this. They believe we are equal to men, or even a lot of Indian and Asian women. They believe, no, we are equal to you. You have to give us time, because even we are working, we are earning. So you have to, treat us equally. So in my case, I didn't want that, because my personality was such. I was a hardcore guy who loved his creativity, loved his space. I didn't want a demanding female at home. I wanted a submissive, a giving female. And my partner proved to be exactly that. And I asked her before we even got into the relationship, are you that kind of person? And she said, I'm perfectly like that. And she didn't have many demands. She told me that she wouldn't demand for sex, that whenever I did feel like having sex, that would be great. But she wouldn't like initiate or ask, even if she did feel. She was not hypersexual, like sexually hyperactive. Like there are some females, women that I was with. When I was young, I was sexually hyperactive. But however, as I reached my 30s and 40s, because I had also taken steroids, and my testosterone started to decline. And, when a man starts focusing on work, when he starts focusing on money, and when there is stress and priorities, men, or generally men, do not think about sex and romance. When they focus on one thing, they just focus on one thing at a time. Women, on the other hand, may have the ability to focus on multiple things. So I told her this, and as we were designing the alliance, my wife was pretty okay with that. And I also told her, make sure that you keep me happy. Keep me happy in terms of sexually, in terms of romance. If I want your attention, if I want a little bit of romance, maybe I'd like you to scratch my back a little bit, or give me a little massage, or just to keep me relaxed. And she said she would love to do that because she believed in taking care of the husband. There were women whom, when I did suggest, they're like, "Who the fuck do you think I am? You think I'm your maid? You think I'm your slave? Go get yourself a fucking maid." So I I I understood. I understood where they're coming from, because they wanted a guy whom would treat them equally. Like if she would, maybe a girl would give him some time, he would give her some time. If a girl would give him pleasure, he would give the girl pleasure. So I didn't want that kind of relationship. I wanted a relationship where I would focus 100% on work, provide for the family, take care of her, and she was taking care of me. So it worked out perfectly. So the first thing is designing the alliance. I'll tell you that without a doubt, because if your personalities do not match, if you do not know how to keep the person happy, if the person's expectations are low, not very high, it's easier to keep the person happy. However, if the person has big demands, you need to take me out for movie, we need to go for romantic walks, we have to go for a movie once a week. You might find this funny, but there were women who did tell me this. There was this girl who, when I got her at home to spend 2-3 days to understand, to get to know her, to see whether she was a potential to be wife material. I just went to the washroom, and when I came back, I found her fiddling with my iMac. I found her touching my things. And this is just day one of us being together. I just kept quiet. And when I asked, excuse me, I want to sit and do my work. As I was sitting in, on my iMac, I didn't give her any instruction because I wanted to see how she was. She, just said, sweetheart. She put her arm around me, took my mouse, was fiddling around and putting some music, which was in Thai. So immediately I knew that this girl, it's not going to work out. There was another girl who, day one, she starts playing with my dog, and the next thing you know is she put the dog on the bloody iMac keyboard. The dog pissed on it and destroyed it. So she was another no-no. There was another girl who, when she came, she was 24/7 on the phone. She was always having the phone. She was always fiddling around with the phone. She was always looking at the video, chatting with other, I don't know whom. So I knew that she was also another one. So I had a heightened sense of awareness to know who is the person I should be targeting, what is it that I want, do's and don'ts. So I was very clear about it. So designing the alliance is number one. The second thing is for you to know very, very clearly what you want, what you don't want, the red flags. Now, how does this all come into the sex? I'll tell you how does it all come into the sex part of it. Now, so once after I came to know the person whom I wanted, I designed the alliance. We agreed on the do's and don'ts. We got married. Then it was all about going through the day-to-day. And remember this, it is not the extreme incidents like the big fights or the big problems. It is the day-to-day, the small things that really mess up a relationship. I'll tell you, like for example, you just finished exercise and you just dumped your clothes in one corner. This small act can really disrupt the peace in the house. Let's say I came from outside and I keep things in a particular way on my table, and I noticed it was missing, or my wife kept it somewhere, or she didn't know where it is, or the house was dirty, or I told her to do something and she didn't do it, or she, without asking me, just took my phone and was using it, and small things like these. You may think that these are silly things, but this is where the problems actually take place. Let's say, for example, um, I'm speaking to somebody online, I'm just chatting with someone, think it's a client, and when my wife comes, by some coincidence, I just shut down the window. Okay, I just shut down the browser, and it was not, I was trying to hide anything, it just happened. Now, this small incident, if your partner doesn't trust you or the partner feels it's something fishy, this itself can breed a lot of doubts and a lot of issues and a lot of problems. And that is where I made it very clear. I told her, I'll give you all my passwords, I'll give you my bank account, I'll give you everything. You break my trust even once, just once, the relationship is over. I made it very clear. So she wouldn't even take even a penny without asking me. So we had drawn the lines. And I asked her, what is it that she liked? What is it that she wanted me to do? And she had made it very clear. Because her expectations were very low, she told me, I just want you to be loyal, faithful to me and love me. That's it. Just take care of the house. Because she knew I didn't smoke, I didn't drink, and I was a playboy, and I didn't want to be a playboy. I didn't want to continue as one. So now coming to the part of sex. When she did become pregnant, we discussed as to how would we have sex, okay? Because obviously the baby is forming in the womb, and if me being heavy, if I'm on top of her, it can damage the baby. There are risks involved because you're talking of pressure. So we agreed that sex would be more like she would be lying down, me standing up. Okay, me standing up on the bed, so she's at a particular level, or we could try doggy style, which anyway I didn't like, she didn't like. Then the typical ones, that is giving a blowjob or using just she using her hand and helping me masturbate. Okay, so these were the ones, and apart from that, the way I used to stimulate myself was I would watch a porno and on my cell phone, so that would get me in a mood. Now, it's very important to understand one part is you need to know your own body as a guy. You need to know your own body. You need to know your frequency. You need to know how much time does it take to have for you to climax. What is required for you to get into a climax? How do you get into a climax? What should the person do? So I had educated my wife as to how to give me pleasure so as to get a climax. And given the fact that I like sex to get over fast, once upon a time I used to enjoy making it go for 1 hour, 90 minutes, maybe prolonging it for 2 hours, 3 hours, getting romance, getting heated up. But as I got older, I just wanted it to get over fast. Just finish it off and let's get on with other important things. And that is one of the reasons why, even before meeting a girl, I would masturbate. So it would save me all the headache of, withholding my emotions and feelings. Because when you're sexually satisfied, you think clearly. So I told my wife that for me, it takes 5 minutes. This is how you should pleasure me. I actually showed her how to use a hand and how to give me pleasure. And, she was very keen to make sure that she would satisfy me. Okay, so that I wouldn't go elsewhere. I wouldn't go with other prostitutes or massage parlors, or there are plenty of women out there who are just looking for a fling. So it proved to be pretty easy. But as the pregnancy went on to the 6th, 7th, 8th month, where the stomach really got big, so the only way we could have sex is for her to use her hand and for her to give me a blowjob, and that's the only way she could give me pleasure. So. And, the frequency in my case kind of declined. The reason being I was really stressed out. I also engaged in masturbating. I would watch porno movies and, just masturbate because for me it was more like a hunger. You get it, you're happy, finished. If there was a moment where I would get attracted to a girl, I would actually speak to my wife about it. And I've done this. In fact, one of the massage parlors that I did go to, a girl, she was kind of giving me the looks. She was young, and I could feel the kind of sexual tension. She was giving me the looks, and when she was massaging me, she was kind of feeling me. And I think my wife also kind of noticed that, but she did bring it up. So, and remember this, women notice. So as soon as I went home, I told my wife about it. I told my wife, she was kind of feeling me, and she said, "Yeah, I noticed. I found." So we had a healthy discussion, and I told her, I was just feeling tempted, and I was thinking, funny thoughts. She was like, "It's normal. It's natural." So we kind of discussed what should be done. So in order to prevent me getting attracted to that girl or any incident taking place, because remember, it takes two hands to clap. So it is me initiating and then that girl initiating also. So we just decided that I would not go there again. Okay, because obviously if I did go there, I would be tempted. So and whenever I would go anywhere, obviously I'd be taking my wife. So I did bump into the girl 2 or 3 times. Yes, I did feel the tension. I did feel like, she would call me, "When you're free, come down for a massage." Everything fine. However, I kept it at, "Hi, how are you? Bye." I kept it to that. And after some time, the tension started to decline. And then eventually everything was okay. So it is because I communicated with my wife. And remember this, it's very important to communicate to your partner, and very important to have an open-minded partner who's not fucking hyper. Because if my wife was the type that if I told her about, this girl that I'm feeling crazy, and she would go and fight with her, then, I wouldn't feel like opening up to her. So now, even when I do meet that girl here and there, it's that fascination is there. I'll tell you, that fascination is there. Sometimes I do think, and even when I masturbate, sometimes I fantasize about her. But I'm not actually bringing it to reality. Okay. So that was one. So once after the baby was born, and now the baby is born, what happens to the woman is, because she has given birth to the baby, there's a lot of fluid, there's a lot of bleeding that takes place, and she has to let go of all the body, the fluid that is there inside of the blood, and a lot of the other stuff that is there. So they wear these pads which women have after pregnancy, where it absorbs all the blood, and it's quite a lot. So once again, well, I did speak to my wife. I was in a mood to have sex, because we didn't have sex for, I would say, quite a long time. I think 6 months or so, 6 or more than that. We didn't have sex, physical sex. It was just either she using her hand or giving me a blowjob, or just the typical. So I really wanted to have sex, but then while speaking to my wife, I kind of understood that we could not. So over here, once again, same masturbation or using a hand or giving me a blowjob, and that's about it. And thankfully, in my case, she's not the demanding type. She's not like the type who would say, satisfy me, do this for me. I'm glad, because if that was the case, I don't think I would be in a frame of mind. That's me. I'm sorry, but that's how I am. I don't think I would be able to do that, because if I don't feel like it, I just don't feel like it. So fortunately, it has worked out pretty well. Whenever my wife does feel like, my wife enjoys giving me pleasure more than receiving pleasure. And whenever she does feel slightly horny, she tells me, "You want sex?" So she enjoys satisfying me. And based on how I feel, I tell her, "Okay, fine, we can have sex." Obviously, the basic common sense follows grooming and, being fresh and taking care of yourself. Now that we have a baby, because the baby can cry anytime, the baby can, so just like, for example, just now, before this video, my wife was just giving me a blowjob, and it so happened, as she was giving me a blowjob, the baby started to make noise and cry, and I told her, the baby is crying, and she was like, "Okay, let's finish it fast." I said, "Okay, fine, let's finish it fast." And I think normally I take 5 minutes. I just, put my attention into ensuring that I climax faster. So I climax within just a minute and a half, and immediately clean myself. My wife just freshened up and immediately went and attended to the baby's needs. So this is this is the reality of most of the relationships. Now, I know that there are a lot of women out there who believe, oh, this is not so fucking right. You should also satisfy your partner. Don't be fucking selfish. The thing is, I intelligently chose a partner who does not want to demand, or doesn't know how to demand, or doesn't care. She cares. What she really cares about is ensuring that I'm loyal, faithful, and honest with her. I'm there for her because she was married before when she was really young. I think when she was just 16, she had an abusive relationship with a guy. Two abusive relationships where the guys were really mad. They used to beat her, hit her, drink, smoke, drugs, all that shit. So for her, I'm like God sent, so as to quote. Um, so yeah, she's just happy having a life where I take care of her. She doesn't have to go to work. She just has to take care of her baby. I'm loyal, faithful, honest, transparent with her. And sex is a part of our lives, but it is not the most important thing. It's one of the small components of the relationship. So I climaxed pretty happy. I don't think about it the whole day, or I'll be okay for the next 2-3 days or for the whole fucking week, until I feel horny again. Maybe watch a movie, or ask my wife, or that's about it. So I thought this would be a uh, kind of talk that was very important, whereby I would share with you, um, the challenges in terms of sex during pregnancy, after pregnancy, and how do I deal with temptations. So I just thought, it's very important for especially people, because there are people who open up to me and tell me, Loy, I feel like having sex. There's this girl. What do I do? My wife is pregnant. How do I deal with it? So I thought this would be a nice, candid, honest confession, so that you can get a perspective. So as usual, you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't like it, give it a thumbs down. Let me know what you think in the comment section below if you want to comment. And I look forward to hearing from you. Loy from Machedo.com, who's Loy Machedo and Think Personal Branding. This is me signing off. And don't forget, Think Personal Branding, the website is being launched and relaunched with the new rates. Check it out. This is me signing off for now. Take care.